Close Joey Votto talks about the Reds' 7-game winning streak following their 8-6 victory over the Chicago Cubs on Sunday. The Reds completed a 6-0 homestand. Bobby Nightengale, the Enquirer-Cincinnati Reds starting pitcher Anthony DeSclafani, 28, celebrates with center fielder Billy Hamilton, 6, and third baseman Eugenio Suarez, 7, after rounding the bases on a grand slam in the third inning of the MLB National League game between the Cincinnati Reds and the Chicago Cubs at Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati on Saturday, June 23, 2018. The Reds led 8-1 after 3 innings. Photo, Sam Green. This was the most satisfying Cincy sports weekend since, when the Bengals beat the Steelers in the playoffs. Oh. Since the last time the Reds were relevant. 2013. Probably. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Disco's slam on Saturday, it did. Cubs led 6-1 through 6.5 Sunday, Reds seemingly content with winning 3 of 4, then, whammo, the club lays a 7th spot on the Cubbies in the 7th. It was embarrassing, it was humbling, it was inspiring, it was the best thing we've seen at Great American in 5 years. The Reds scored 6 in the 7th without making a first out. They did it at the neutral site of GABP. There were 30,000 people there. No exaggeration to say half wore Cubby blue. There is no more pleasing sight to a Reds fan than to watch insufferable Cubbies people walk up the stairs and out the door before a game is over. That happened in droves Sunday. So what does it mean, Doc? Not much. The Reds have won 7 in a row, not because their starting pitching is coming around, it's not really, but because they mesh. Last time they had a considerable W streak 6 in a row, they proceeded to lose 18 of their next 24. My erstwhile Pirates who suck started 26-17. They're 10-24 since. Again, baseball's greatest strength is its long season. There are no flukes. The Reds weren't as bad as their 8-27 start. They're not as good as 7-0 in the past week plus. Especially given the spotty efforts of Romano and Harvey, and the lousy shows of Luis Castillo. Nightengale has been excellent in June, Disco pretty good. But as a whole, the starting pitching has been mediocre. The bats have carried them. In a 12-8 June, the Reds lead the league in on-base percent and batting average, are second in hits and ops, and fourth in runs. Even when this team is bad, it hits good, and generally plays good defense and runs the bases well. It's the starting pitching, stupid, and to a large extent we're still waiting on that. All that said, the weekend was a damned good time. Here's SI.com's take on it. The funny thing about tanking is that the players have little or no hand in it. Anyone can look at, say, the Marlins and conclude that the front office has expended no effort toward making them a competitive club in 2018, they're a starter or two short, none of their bench players can hit, and so on. This team cannot win. But the players, well, they still play like the games matter, even though the games don't matter as much as the games played in DC. Or Philly or LA. Or Milwaukee. It's sometimes helpful to be reminded of this. Which brings me to the Cincinnati Reds. Entering the season, they were branded tankers. Management had done hardly anything to tinker with the group that had finished 68-94 for 2 straight years, and the team immediately set about proving its doubters right. On April 22, their record stood at 3-18. Manager Brian Price had been fired when the team was 3-15 and swept in 2 of the last 3 series, and then in their first series under Jim Riggleman they were swept again. If the Reds games hadn't projected to matter much, the 10-game divisional deficit they faced just 21 games into their season ensured that they wouldn't. Indeed, that 10-game deficit now stands at 13 games. But since April 22, the Reds are 29-27. That's a better record than the Cardinals or Pirates in that span. And they are especially hot at the moment. The Reds have won 7 in a row and 10 of their last 12 this weekend, sweeping the once division-leading Cubs. What wasn't a good time was Nick Senzel, who has now been laid low by 2 of the freakiest injuries imaginable. Senzel can take solace in knowing he's used up a lot of his bad karma before his MLB career takes flight. First, it was vertigo, now a tendon on his right index finger, separating from the bone. That has him out the rest of the year. You might wonder how something so slight could shelve him for 3+ months. I don't. My sophomore year in high school, I did the same thing, wrestling. I bent back the middle finger on my right hand in practice. I didn't think much of it. It swelled. My parents took me to the emergency room. The doc diagnosed it as an infection. They cut the whole nail off and kept the wound clean with alcohol, which hurt like hell, but when they saw no signs of infection, they looked for something else. That's when they discovered the tendon, off the bone. They splinted it. I missed almost 2 months. When your job involves gripping and throwing, having a finger injury to your dominant hand is a bad thing. For the first few weeks, even slightly bumping my middle finger against anything felt like I just smacked my temple with a ball-peen hammer. Imagine trying to grip a bat or make a throw. Senzo said he felt like he was ready to be called up. He was probably right. The upshot: any thoughts of dealing Scooter Gennett are likely off the table. That's a good thing. Gennett isn't expensive, he's a great team guy and oh yeah, he's hitting a little bit. It also could mean a heightened effort to deal Adam Duvall. He seems the odd man out, even as his power and defense are valuable. If Winker keeps coming on, he plays every day next year. So does Schebler. Assuming Billy Hamilton is moved, making $4.60 mil now, final RBR next year, that leaves LF open, possibly Gennett's new home. The Ringer asks us if Phil Collins should be celebrated or vilified. Honestly, that one has never kept me up at night. Something that surprised me, but maybe not you. I talked to Mick Cronin Friday, for a column I did on Jacob Evans. He said that as recently as mid-May, Evans had not hired an agent and could have returned to UC for his senior season. I thought shortly after last season Evans tweeted he was gone. Cronin said that tweet was written by someone else, using Evans' account. Golf Nerd segment. The new Odyssey Rossi putter arrived Friday. It went into the bag along with the pardoned Ray Cook circa 1980 model, which I had benched last year after 5 years of mostly good work. The obvious issue: do I throw over Ray yet again, or do I allow him to compete? I used Ray once last week, pre-Rossi, to spectacular effect. I played 9 at the legendary run yesterday and alternated putters by hole, giving the new guy 5 of the 9. They were both great. Ray contributed a 25-foot bogey saver on the villainous 5th hole, among the hardest in the area. Rossi added a slippery 15-foot downhiller for par on the ridiculously short par 5 9th. The battle rages on. Nothing better than golf at sunset, by the way. MRGREN Jeans is proud to report that the zucchini plants are in mid-season form. Plucked 4 of them in the last week or so. Cuke's looking good. Tomatoes have lots of blooms. On the flip, my bad luck with green peppers continues. 2 healthy but scrawny plants have produced 1 growing pepper. What am I missing here? Also, I have 6 healthy strawberry plants, but no emerging fruit. Is that a wait till next year to know the day? When I was 17 or so, I used to sneak into this Bethesda, Maryland joint called the Psyche Deli, drink beer and listen to these guys. The Nighthawks were a legendary DCR and B crew, with a harp player, Mark Wenner, every bit as talented as, say, Jay Giles' Magic Dick. And a Helluva guitarist named Jimmy Thackeray. Both are featured here. This is a nice little tune off their first album. Read or share this story, https://sin.ci/2suju.